hope you're all being safe and doing well. My name is Miss Sophia. I'm an art teacher and I'm the owner of the Artbox Studio in Coconut Grove. Artbox is a place where we give art lessons to people of all ages and all levels. But given the current situation, since we're all stuck at home, this video is meant to just give you a few ideas of some simple projects that we can do in our houses with some items lying around. In this video in particular, I want to focus on 3 different contemporary artists. They're all very different. I'm a fan of all of them. They all use different mediums, but they're all very fun, lighthearted, colorful. They have great, vibrant works of art, and I think that kids would really like to take a look at what they do and learn about them. So we're gonna just take a look, get inspired, make our own unique works of art with our own touches. And of course, this is not only limited to kids, this is meant for anybody that needs a creative outlet at the moment, which I think is most of us. So with that said, I want to get started. The first artist we're going to cover, his name is Peter Anton. So Peter Anton is an artist based out of Connecticut, and he's been working for over 25 years. What he does is he makes life-size replicas of food. He has an obsession with food. The textures, the smells, the colors, you name it. So what he does is really obsess over it, study it, and basically experiment with different mediums to create exact replicas of different items. Mostly sweet things like donuts, cupcakes, little boxes of chocolate with individually wrapped chocolate and candy pieces. Not only desserts, he also does savory things like sushi or burgers and things like that. So I think it's something really fun for kids to look at. Since we're not in the studio, we probably use something like clay to mold our own sculptures, but we're not. So we're in the kitchen. What I think is a great alternative is to make our own dough, which can be baked in the oven. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. It's super simple. All you need is 4 parts flour, 2 parts water, and 1 part salt. So it just depends on the amount that you want to make. You mix it up. We're going to just sculpt out whatever we want our sculpture to look like, and then we're going to pop it in the oven. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. Okay, so I just went ahead and took these out of the oven. What I ended up doing was checking on them every so often to see if they were ready, because I think it just depends on how much dough you use. The more you use and the bigger your sculpture is, the longer you're gonna have to leave it in there in the oven. I ended up leaving it, I guess, about maybe 20 to 25 minutes, and my sculptures were pretty big and they're pretty thick, if you can see. So now that they're ready and I can take them out and they cooled off, we're gonna go ahead and paint them. As you can see, I went ahead with the heart shape because what the artist does, what Peter Anton does a lot, is those little Valentine hearts with messages. So I'm going to go ahead and decorate it like that. But of course, this is your project and you can do whatever you want. If you'd rather do macaroons or brownies or cookies or even a burger, or if you even just want to do something else, a different kind of sculpture with your dough, it's all you. You get to decide whatever you'd like. So we're going to go ahead and paint them now that they're cool. And I'm going to show you how to do that now with my acrylic paints. Alright, so these guys are finally done. As you can see, I made my little messages not too romantic, but more appropriate for the occasion. You can do whatever you'd like. I think these are great, especially if you want to give them as a gift to a friend and maybe write something personalized. Or again, like I said, you can really make your dough into any shape that you'd like, paint it any way that you want. Super easy, and you can, if you still have leftover flour or salt, you can do this again and again and make as many of these as you'd like. The next artist that we're going to learn about is named Neely Cooper. Neely Cooper is a stained glass artist and a jewelry designer based in New Jersey. So her pieces that are made out of stained glass, most of them are images of things found in nature like flowers, leaves, a lot of different animals like beautiful owls, bumblebees, hummingbirds, things like that. And even her jewelry that she makes, it's made of glass, but she also uses actual real butterfly wings. So it's so beautiful. Obviously, since it's made of glass and different bright colors, it's so delicate. It gives such a nice feel when like the light shines on it. What I actually think is the most interesting part about her is where she works. She actually created her own studio, which is a little cabin made entirely of glass in the woods in New Jersey. So all the walls are basically works of her own art. She has different images there of like I said, all these things found in nature. And she also uses a lot of reclaimed material, like the wood that she uses for the beams were fallen trees in the wood. So the lumber she got from there. She uses like a lot of old window frames that she didn't need anymore. So the fact that she was able to repurpose all these materials is also great. So if you guys have time to look her up, to Google her, maybe Instagram her, take a look at her different pictures of the kind of things that she does, I highly recommend it. It's so beautiful. What we're going to be doing today has nothing to do with glass, but we are going to be using plastic. So I'm going to show you a technique using some Mod Podge and some clear glue. And we're going to be using, I actually found this folder lying around in my house, and it's one of these see-through folders with like a clear plastic on the top, which is perfect for this project. If you have anything like this, it doesn't necessarily have to be a folder like where you can put in a sheet of paper, but if you have something similar to this plastic, or something called acetate, which is a clear sheet of just transparent plastic sheets that we use a lot in the studio for different art projects. This is basically going to be our base for what we paint onto, and eventually when it's dry, we're going to peel it off. So I went ahead and did this little template. You guys can do whatever you want. In this case, since I was able to put a sheet underneath, whatever you guys decide to use, whether it's acetate, whether it's something like this, I think it's a great idea to maybe draw something beforehand on a sheet of paper and put it underneath so that while you're painting, you can kind of just trace and you're not really improvising. You kind of just go ahead and follow your design. So I'm going to show you up close how to start painting over your base, your surface, and then we're going to do the next step, which will be to let it dry, peel it off, and eventually we'll be able to put it onto our window. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that up close. So I let my little painted design dry outside in my backyard. I left it there for a good 30 minutes. Just give it a good, run your fingers over it, make sure the glue is nice and dry. Once it is and you don't get any paint on your fingers, then it's time to go ahead and peel it. So I'm going to show you how to do that next. Okay, so our project is nice and peeled, and as you can see, I have not yet put it on my window, but I think it works great on the fridge, and it sticks really well. If you want to unstick it, that's also very easy to do, no mess. As you can see, there's a little holes. There are a little bit of holes in between. That's why I think it might be even a better idea to just do a pattern instead of text. But I think all in all, it came out great. You just have to be very, very careful removing it. I think I even recommend having a parent help you out. But there it is. I hope you like it. The last and final artist we will be learning about is Sheila Hicks. Sheila Hicks is an American artist, even though she lives in Paris. She is 85 years old and she continues to exhibit all over the world. She has permanent works in the MoMA, in the Met, and she has just done some amazing things with textiles. She's a textile artist and she's very well known for her experimental weavings. So what she normally does is use tons of fabric with really bright colors, so beautiful. She does really large installations, and she actually had one recently here in Miami at the Bass Museum on Miami Beach. So if you got a chance to see it, I'm sure you remember her really big, beautiful pom-poms. What we're gonna be doing, I'm gonna be showing you something that we can do with yarn, a really, really simple weaving technique. So what you need is to make your own small loom. Well, it could be any size that you want. The bigger it is, the longer it's going to take for you to complete your weaving. But you're going to see how once you get the hang of it, it's so relaxing. A lot of my students love this project. And it's just something that comes out really beautiful. It's so simple to do, but it can be such a beautiful decoration for your home, for your bedroom. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that up close. First, how to actually create your loom that you're going to be weaving onto, and then how to choose your yarn. So I'm going to show you how to do my loom now with my cardboard that I found. You can use any cardboard from your house. What you have to keep in mind is that the measurements at the top need to line up with the measurements at the bottom. You can make them as wide as you want, but I like to keep them rather small, so I just did 1/2 inch increments. Keep in mind that it should be an even number at the top and on the bottom, because at the very end when we finish weaving, what we're going to do is tie our strings together. So if there's an even number, then you're going to have enough string to tie at the top with all your knots, and then that way it will be nice and secure. So I'm going to go ahead. Now that I measured 1/2 inch increments, here I have 8 little ticks. So you're going to take your scissors and just cut a little bit through. See, I'm not cutting all the way. I'm just kind of making a snip on the bottom. And then flip it over and do the same exact thing on the other side. So you're going to see how we're going to prepare our loom by choosing just one yarn, one color. So let me show you that now. You're also going to need a piece of tape. So I chose this random blue string I have, this yarn. You're going to start at the first tick at the very top left corner. What you're going to do is just secure it by inserting it into the first little snippet. The back is going to look like that, like a little loose string. So that loose string you're going to tape down with your piece of tape. And now what you're going to do is just make sure you have enough slack from all your yarn. And you're going to just keep wrapping and wrapping and wrapping while you insert the string into the little snippets that we just made. So you see, one by one. And it should start to look like this, kind of like guitar strings. So you wrap it all the way around. Don't pull too tightly because it's going to start to bend. So just enough to make it nice and snug. Make sure you have enough string. And then once you get to the end, once you get to the last and final one, you're going to flip it over, cut, and you're going to put one more piece of tape just like the first one. So your loom should look like this. One piece of tape on the bottom, one at the top, and this is the front part where we're actually going to weave. So I'm going to show you how to start that now. Very simple. The pattern is just going to be over one string, under the next, over, under, over, under.
to burn. And after all this time, and after all the ambulances go, and after all the hangers-on are done hanging on in the dead light of the afterglow, I gotta know, can we work it out? Scream and shout to work it out. Can we just work it out? Scream and shout.
Okay, so now that we finished with the loom, it should look something like this, from the top all the way to the bottom until you can't really weave anymore. So I'm going to show you how to remove it from here. Before I do, just a few tips. Something that I recommend is that while you're pulling your yarn or your string or ribbon or whatever you're using, try not to stretch it too much. Try not to pull too hard, because if you do, what's going to happen is it's going to start to do this and kind of do like a little hourglass shape if you start pulling it too tightly. Make sure it's nice and loose so that the edges are straight down. And another tip is a common mistake that some people make is that when they weave from one side to the other, when they change directions, they tend to undo everything that they did. So in order to prevent that from happening, make sure that you're starting, when you go from left to right, whatever you ended doing, like whether you ended going under the string or over, do the opposite of that when you go in the other direction to prevent that from happening. So now, in order to remove it from the loom, what I'm going to do is on the back side, it still looks like this, nice and blank. So we're going to take our scissors and just cut halfway through, like this. And we're going to basically set it free so you can take out the strings, like this. Just pop it off. Take out your piece of tape. And do the same thing on the other side. Here we go. Okay, so once all these strings are loose, what we're going to do is, and then you can keep this for whenever you want to weave again at home. What we're going to do, since, remember how at the beginning I said that this had to be an even number? So now you're going to see why, because we're going to tie them up. So get the first two and just tie a knot like this, maybe a double knot to make sure it's nice and secure. Then you get the next two, do the same thing. And at the very end, after you tie all of these, you might want to trim them a bit because they're a little bit long. So it's gonna look something like a little carpet or something like that when you're done. And then, or another idea, if you don't want to trim it and you actually want to hang it from something, like a lot of times when we've done this project at the studio, we actually hang it from like a little tree branch or something pretty like that. So, we've also added pom-poms. You can add whatever you want to these. There's a lot of little details that can make it look really pretty, like flowers or leaves. You can find things in your backyard maybe. If you want to hang it from a branch, then I recommend leaving these long, and then that way you can wrap it around and tie it like this. Or if you just want to leave it as is and you can tie all your knots, then you can trim by cutting them a little bit loose, and I'll show you what that looks like so that they're not too long and dangly. You can just shorten them up like this and then do the same exact thing on the other side, and you're done. That's our project. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you're all really happy with your works of art. I hope you learned something new. I hope you enjoyed learning about these different artists. Please remember, really important, to always check our website for new updates, especially in the next couple of days, weeks. That's artboxmiami.com. And please remember to follow us as well on Instagram at artboxmiami, because we'll be updating some more things there and sharing some new exciting information. So yeah, thank you again. Please be safe, and hopefully I'll see you all again soon in person. Bye.